welcome to Ian and Friends. I am Ian Dille. I am here with Michael Sheehan.
Hello, and when we left off, you were going on vacation to a dinosaur park in Reno, Nevada.
I was. It was a wonderful vacation in Reno. Fantastic town.
How was it? Did you see anything besides dinosaurs?
I saw Cyclocross Nationals.
All right. Tell me about it.
Well, I don't know if you heard, but it was quite an exciting event. We had great races in the under 23 and junior races, the women's race. The men's elite race was definitely, for me at least, the highlight of the whole weekend. Stephen Hyde and Jeremy Powers going toe-to-toe right up until the final moments. Let's just dive into it. We've got a great clip of them here. Hyde putting an amazing pass on Powers and then just sending it on this downhill.
Yeah, this was, I don't think that anyone could have asked for a better last lap battle. The Cyclocross Nationals, like, look at that. Those were just crit speeds that they were hitting.
Yeah.
Into this really properly slick, loose course.
Yeah, and then watch Hyde here. I mean, he's pretty much out of control, just putting a foot down, tripoding the corner. You see Powers come around here, takes it nice and easy, and that was pretty much, I mean, that was the race right there.
Yeah.
That wasn't pretty much the race. I actually talked with Powers on Monday. We'll have a full interview up later this week, but, he said that was actually part of his game plan. He didn't want to ride as fast as Hyde down that hill. He knew he couldn't. He knew he was on the limit. Mm-hmm. He knew Hyde was on the limit, and he was basically planning on Hyde tanking it and passing him, crumpled up into a ball at the bottom of the hill. That's how fast they were going.
Yeah, that's kind of what it looked like. That was a all or nothing move for Stephen Hyde. He just fully committed, fully sent it down those two descents and kept it up for a repeat win.
Yeah, it was interesting also talking with Hyde after the race. A comment he made in the trailer was that this course was so fast, so different for him coming from Eurocross races where he's slopping through mud and, all of a sudden they're in Reno racing a grass crit. It was just a really unique, phenomenal race from a spectator standpoint. And one person that was especially excited was Jeremy Powers to have the best race of his season at the National Championships. We have another clip with him, and I asked him, what was it that allowed you to arrive at a national championship race with this level of confidence? Mm-hmm. He has had heart conditions this season. He's won one race, but he hasn't won any major races. The last race we really saw him vying for the win at was Pan Am's, where he was within 5 to 10 seconds of Hyde, really the only person who could stay with him on that course in Louisville. And he ended up, 20 minutes in, just pulling into the pit with a spiked heart rate, a heart condition. So he went to Albuquerque. He was training with Jam Fund members, Scott Smith, Jack Kissebreath. And yeah, let's play the interview now. But he really talks about his preparation for
nationals.
All
in the training that led up to it. Very clear. I mean, we did motor pacing where I was doing, really great numbers, similar to when I've had success at other big World Cups. So I felt like that was certainly one thing that I was leaning on. Like, okay, well, if these numbers are right, and these, the way that I feel and the speed that I'm going and the way that others are reacting to the way that I'm training and not being able to hang on or being like, dude, we're going too hard or whatever, just that sensation and that way. And then in the week leading up to it, I was like really ready to go. I just mentally, I was like, I got to just do this race. Like, I just got to get this race going.
Yeah, that was awesome seeing Jeremy come back and he was really, really close to taking the win, which I think a lot of us were kind of surprised about because this year it just hasn't been the J-Pow season that we've been used to seeing for the last, 5 years at least of U.S. cyclocross. He did have the heart condition and, he just hasn't really been able to race. He hasn't done the international calendar that Hyde has done, so.
Yeah, and he's had a lot going on this season. You know, he did a lot of tests to try and diagnose what exactly was causing these spiked heart rates. He'd be in the middle of a race or a workout, and his heart rate would shoot up, you know, above 200 beats per minute. He had a myriad of tests done, wasn't really able to figure out what it was, and basically came to the conclusion that a lot of it just came down to stress and loading himself up with too many responsibilities. You know, he's managing the Aspire team this season. He brought back Behind the Barriers. He's helping to manage the Jam Fund developmental team. And on top of that, he's got a new baby at home.
And he's trying to be the nation's best cyclocross racer.
Exactly.
So, yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah, and I think it's something that he feeds off of. You know, he's always needed all those other things and enjoyed having those other things going on in his life besides just being a cross racer. But I think coming into nationals, it became critical to him to sort of step back and focus on himself and just being a really great racer and, you know, going to Albuquerque and just focusing on his training. And I love there how he talks about, you know, a lot of his confidence coming into nationals, taking the front, ripping the race apart, you know, from the first lap, came from the numbers he was seeing and also the torture that he was putting on his teammates.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but, you know, do you... have you ever, you know, gone into a race knowing that torturing your friends is going to lead to a quality race on race day?
It's been like one or the other. Sometimes like it either means that you're overtraining yourself and you're going to be cooked in the race, or you're going to be on flying form. And Jeremy obviously has been doing this for many, many years, and he knows his body and what he was seeing leading up to cyclocross. He knew exactly what he needed to do there.
Yeah, totally. Any other favorite moments for you out of nationals? Anything you saw that made your heart melt a little bit, or?
I mean, there's still so much. We haven't even touched on the women's race. We saw Katie Compton again, just 14th straight national title. Is that right?
Yeah,
I think
mind-boggling.
I think I've lost count. Ellen Noble, first year racing the elites, got second, and then we have an interview with Katie Keough, who has had a really good year, especially in the World Cup series. She's had a great year, but she did not quite get the result she was looking for at nationals. We could go ahead and play that clip.
Sure, and especially from where I was last season, it's like night and day different, and definitely a big jump and a big success for me. So, okay. I won't be crying tomorrow.
Cool. Well,
Yeah.
congrats.
Yeah, I mean, it was, you know, if you haven't seen the interview, go to FloBikes and watch it. It's really emotional, you know. I talked with her outside the Cannondale trailer, and she was tearing up over her third place finish. And, you know, there she says, I won't be crying tomorrow because, you know, that next day, I think it was, or maybe it was Tuesday actually, she was heading over to Europe and getting ready for the Nome World Cup. And, you know, she's sitting second overall in the World Cup series so far. And she was like, I'm going to get it together. I'm going to refocus, and I'm going to go, you know, put nationals behind me and put my best foot forward in Nome, and we saw that.
And that she did. Yeah, she got second to Katie Compton at Nome. And, like, yeah, we have the podium right there. What a turnaround. And, like, a lot of people are probably thinking she got third at Cyclocross Nationals. Why is she upset? But I can totally empathize with that. You go into a national championship or a world championship, you're racing for a jersey, and like second place doesn't get a jersey.
Right. There's not a lot of consolation in getting third place. But it all, you know, for someone like her, of her stature, I mean, she's beat Katie Compton head to head numerous times this season. So I think she really felt like this was her turn. This was her nationals to prove that she is the nation's #1 cyclocross rider. You know, obviously, Katie Compton isn't gonna fold so easily, and Katie Compton really likes wearing that stars and bars. And as she said in her interview with us, you know, they're gonna have to peel it off my cold dead body. but yeah, I mean, it's cool to see Katie Keough, Ellen Noble, all these women so passionate about this race, about winning the Stars and Stripes, and you know, Katie Keough tearing up over getting third just shows really how bad she wanted it.
Yeah. And there's one more thing we'd be remiss if we didn't mention it from Cyclocross Nationals, because what a show. The finish of the U23 men's race and Chris Blevins' winning move. Let's just watch it.
Yeah. There's not. I mean, that was literally the last lap. That was his winning attack. He gassed it coming into the stairs. Bunny hop. I mean, the little skid at the end, and then he puts like 4 bike links in
There's
immediately.
So much going on just in that like 5 seconds, because like not only do you have to have the skill to bunny hop 3 stairs like all in one fell swoop, but this is the last lap. It's your winning move, and just the adrenaline and endorphins that you have, and like getting the speed and the approach just right. And he just did it so easy. And I don't know if there's like any doubt in your mind about how Chris Blevins, like how good he is at riding a bike. Let's just watch this clip from him preparing for cyclocross.
Yeah, I mean, I do that all the time.
Yeah.
That's how I get ready for most of my races. I mean, it's cool. It reminds me of like being a kid ripping around your neighborhood, trying to bunny hop curbs or whatever. Like he's in a national championship race, but in some ways he's still just out there playing, goofing off.
Yeah, he's fantastic. And if you want your kids to be that good at riding bikes, give them a BMX bike when they're a toddler. I think that's the only way that happens. So that is pretty much the American cyclocross season, and now a lot of these racers, we mentioned they flew over to Nîmes in France for the second to last World Cup. There's one more World Cup race, and then the World Championships in Valkenburg. What are we thinking for that?
Well, on the women's side, is this Katie Compton's year? I mean, she's been close before. I feel like she can win it. I don't want to go as far as saying she will win it, but I mean, she's getting near the end of her career, and I feel like if she is going to win a world championship, this is her best chance. She dominated the World Cup in Nîmes. Traditionally, she has not had the world championships that she's wanted, but man, I think you can't bet against her this year.
I definitely wouldn't. And just going back over the years, she's been on the podium 4 times. She's had 3 silver medals, 1 bronze. And why not this year? Honestly, Sana Khan is defending champion, but we've seen a lot of chinks in her armor. It's not a decided race. We have a couple dark horses. We don't know if Pauline Ferrand-Prévot is going to race yet. I don't think she's made an official announcement. Marianne Vos came into the season late, definitely with a big circle around World Championships, but she has been a little bit spotty in attendance leading up to it.
Yeah, Thalita de Jong. We've seen Mon Captains win a World Cup this year. There's just so many women in the elite field that can win this race, not to mention our fellow Americans, Katie Keough and Ellen Noble. It's going to be an exciting race, but it's cool to see Katie Compton coming in as a favorite. She has downplayed her own chances. She was very quick to say after nationals that she'll be happy with a medal at the World Championships. So she's trying not to put that pressure on herself, which she has had in the past. I saw her at the 2013 World Championships in Louisville, where she hadn't lost a race all year, basically. Overwhelming favorite. Came in and had a mechanical on the first lap, let Marianne Vos get a gap, and the race was essentially over. So she's had, I wouldn't say, I think if you ask Katie, she wouldn't say it's bad luck, just things necessarily haven't gone the way she's wanted them to at the World Championships previously. So I think coming in with a more relaxed attitude, and just trying to ride her best race is a good way for her to approach it.
Yeah, I'm not going to be the one to jinx anything there, but I think that the American women's contingent is looking pretty good for Valkenburg. The men, how are our American men looking? I think that you talked to a few of them after the race.
Yeah, I mean, the men are, expectations are tempered. They were very quick to say. I talked with Jeremy Powers on Monday, and he said anybody that bets on him to be on the podium at the Worlds is not making a good bet, and his own expectations for himself are a top 20. He did say one really interesting thing about the way he plans on riding the race. One of his strategies is sticking with Stephen Hyde, who's been over racing in Europe. Let's play that clip.
But I would like to race with Steven, and I think that his experience and I have plenty of experience over there, but I think that his pacing and the way that he's racing, I would like to keep an eye on Steven and try to be up there where he's at.
Yeah, I mean, that's a smart strategy. He said in that piece he's not going out trying to be the first American. He's not trying to beat Steven, but he showed at Nationals that he can ride with Hyde. So he knows that his form is similar to Hyde, and he's had success in Valkenburg previously. He knows the course well. It's a course that requires a lot of power. Obviously, he's fit right now. He can put down a lot of power. But Steven's been over there. He knows how to ride these races, how to pace himself, where to position himself in the field. So it's an interesting strategy by Jeremy to watch Steven and try and ride with him. And yeah, we'll see if it plays out. It'll be interesting to see how the American men do.
Cool. So that'll be in a couple weeks.
2 weeks,
but we are now in road season.
Thank goodness. Because I don't know about you, but I have personally been in Peter Sagan withdrawal ever since the World Championships. And he came back and at the Tour Down Under and
did not disappoint.
No. Won the People's Choice, won a stage, and let's play this clip. Probably our favorite moment is him here helping to break down the course after the race.
Fresh off the podium, and he sees the finishing barrier needs to be loaded up onto a truck, and he hops out of the car and lends a hand.
Yeah, it's 100 degrees. He's wearing ski goggles. And
that is our world champion, and couldn't be happier about it. So,
classic.
Thank you as always, Peter.
Classic Peter Sagan. Were there any other moments from the Tour Down Under that spoke to you that piqued your interest?
Plenty. So, Wollonga Hill, honestly, is one of my favorite races. Honestly, of the year. It's kind of the first real fitness test of the cycling season, and one I would call it a breakout ride that we saw was Egan Bernal, Team Sky's new signing. He's 20 years old from Colombia. He won Tour de l'Avenir last year, which is like the Tour de France for juniors, and he went 5th up Wollonga Hill. So that's him. He is this like skinny little dude, and he is going to be a guy to watch in the future. I don't know if they have him queued up for a Grand Tour this year or not. I think it'll be interesting to see how they kind of develop him in the World Tour, but just being 20 years old in the World Tour is kind of mind-blowing in general, because it's hard. It's hard on a young person's body like him, but he's phenomenal in his first World Tour race. He got 6th overall, 5th up Wollonga. So
yeah, that's going to be exciting to watch him progress this season and hopefully throughout his long career. And it's Sky, man. They lose Mikel Landa, and next thing you know, they're loading up with another Colombian, talented young riders. It seems like there's just always someone waiting in the wings.
Yeah, pretty much, and he'll be a good one to have. Still on Wollonga, Richie Porte. I think that he got his 5th straight win going up Wollonga Hill.
Yeah, I mean, it's getting to the point where I'm almost getting tired of seeing Richie. Well, scratch that. I'm not getting tired of seeing Richie Porte win up Wollonga Hill. He attacks at the same place every year, And everybody knows it's coming, and they still just can't ride with him. He literally just rides him off his wheel. Yeah. He does a second kick. I mean, it's just phenomenal. He definitely has that hill pegged.
Yeah, I don't know. Nobody can touch him. But the biggest story up Wollonga Hill was Daryl Impey coming in second. I think he was 7 seconds back on Richie Port, and that was just enough to give him the leader's jersey. And he went on to win the entire race the next day. This is huge because this guy was riding his bike all week. He wasn't Richie Port saving his energy, sitting in the field, just waiting for the Wollonga day. He was leading out Caleb Ewan just every day leading up to that. He got second place 3 times that tour. Mitchelton Scott went 1-2 with Caleb and him one day. He got second to Peter Sagan. So he's up there in the sprints, and then he just has one of the rides of his life up Wollonga Hill. And this is his biggest win to date. He's 33 years old, just won his first World Tour GC.
Yeah, we saw some of his previous results. You know, he had won the Tour of Alberta in 2014, Presidential Cycling Tour of Turkey in 2009. So to come out with a result like this, you know, at the Tour Down Under, it's super cool. And, you know, I think everybody was stoked for him.
Yeah, there were some great rider reactions from that race because it's not, if you're in the peloton, nobody I think is really surprised that Impey had this in him, because they see him just working his ass off for teammates like day after day, and he finally just like the stars aligned and he raced for himself and he won the whole race. So there are some great rider reactions from inside the peloton, just basically saying hats off to you because you've like had that coming for a long time.
Yeah. Cool. Well, I think we have enough time for one more topic.
Yeah, your second vacation in as many weeks.
I went on a lot of vacations last week, and I got to go to the Rally Cycling team camp in Oxnard, California. We're working on a story about the team. You know, their best domestic team last year. Obviously, everybody knows 2 stages at the Tour of California with Evan Huffman. Sat in the team car with team director Pat McCarty for 6 hours as these guys just bludgeoned each other in the Santa Monica Mountains. And my favorite moment of the trip was when Pat McCarty, you know, gets 5 $20 bills together, holds them out the window. They're coming to the base of a 20-minute climb and says, "Guys, $100 to the first one to the top of the hill."
How to motivate a pro cyclist.
And Pat's pick was a sprinter. You know, he'd been watching Colin Joyce, one of the younger riders on the team, former action rider, really, really talented guy who maybe fell through the cracks a little bit in the development system. You know, it's sort of Rally's specialty to pick up guys like that, give them a little bit more time, give them the schedule that they need to really show their true potential. And Colin really was at camp. Pat was super impressed with his ability, you know, as a quote-unquote sprinter to ride with the top racers or the top climbers each day. So they're going up the climb, you know, Evan Huffman, Brandon McNulty, Emerson Arante, some of the top GC guys in the U.S., and Joyce is just hanging on the back of them. We get to the top of the hill, it's just him and McNulty left, and then we have a little clip here of what happens at the top of the hill.
Yep. Sprinter just smoked the climbers.
My favorite thing is when they got to the top, you know, Danny Pate, team captain, was also going up the hill with them, and they get to the top. And he asks who won, Colin Joyce, and he's like, "Oh, cookie butt." Not that Colin Joyce is a heavy guy, but he definitely has some extra muscle down around his thighs in comparison to someone like Brandon McNulty. So
yeah, and this entire last year, Brad Huff was just making fun of Colin for eating cookies, but it's working for him. I don't know Colin personally, but I've raced against him a lot, and just, you know, like all these mutual friends, everybody says that Colin is just amazing cyclist. So he is one of the many to watch on the rally team this year. And
yeah, and he was, a lot of the races he did last year, he was in a real working role, Tour of California, Tour of Gila. He was the guy pulling through the valley, riding the front. They did give him a chance to ride for himself at the Tour of Utah, and he was fourth on one stage there. So, yeah, I mean, he's definitely an exciting person to watch in the future, someone who can make it over the hills and win at the end of the race.
Yeah. I'm glad I don't have to race against them this year because their team is coming together really well.
Yeah, so cool. That's all we have for today. Thank you for joining me, Michael, and we'll see you on Ian and Friends next time.
Thanks for tuning in.